as prescribed, which, leads to preventable medication related adverse events. Like if you're not taking your meds on time and you're not following the prescribed dose, you're not living your best life. You're not feeling as healthy as you should be. And it affects the overall healthcare system.
Yeah. So it's kind of a cause and effect where it just kind of keeps spiraling, and affects multiple groups out there.
It's definitely a domino effect.
Mm-hmm. So we know that it's an issue. We've heard that for quite a while. I guess, how do we improve on it? I've read some information that, as far as the U.S. goes, we're really kind of behind the 8 ball compared to Canada or the U.K. as far as getting people adherent. So what are some opportunities that pharmacy owners out there can do to improve adherence?
Well, one of the, you talk about seeing, the Canadian market and the UK market. When I was recruited over to SynMed, I got to thinking, why does my dad go to the pharmacy 3 or 4 times a month, to get all of his prescriptions, and then goes home and sits down and gets a med box out and starts to organize those meds for himself. When I started going into Canada and selling equipment, the past few years, I noticed there's a lot of multi-dose blister cards that are going out. It's really 25% of all retail scripts, across Canada come out in a multi-dose card. In Quebec, where our company is headquartered, it's over 30% of retail prescriptions are filled in a multi-dose card. You talk about a province of Quebec with 8.5 million people, which is one of the oldest populations in the world. We have over 150 systems installed, which, just kind of goes to show you that once the option of med organization in a card is offered, the patients really demand it, and it's given them a better quality of life. In contrast to that, you have 18 million people in the greater Los Angeles area. You have facts of, 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 years or older every day. So pharmacies really need to find a way to capitalize, on the aging population. And really the demand for organizing medications is increasing. And in fact, in the UK, it's closer to 40% of retail prescriptions are organized by dose time and come out in a blister card. Contrast to that, the U.S. market is, maybe 1-2%. So there's a tremendous upside for growth. And, a multi-dose card and adherence program is a way for U.S. pharmacists to capitalize on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a lot of room for growth. So you mentioned your dad, and he had a med box. And so it sounds like he was trying to be adherent and probably did better than many other patients out there. But what are some common reasons that you think why patients just are not adherent with their medications?
Well, I mean, the most basic is a complicated, you have several medications, and they all start on different days throughout the month. You or your caregiver is responsible to manage those medications and pick those up and administer them on time. If you take medications during the day, you go to work, you probably don't want to lug around your prescription vials. So maybe you're putting them into Ziploc bags and getting those mixed up. The refill dates being across the board. I mean, I can remember as a delivery driver and still even being in pharmacies now, is the primary caregiver in a household could be the husband or wife that is the same age or older. It could be the mother or it could be the daughter or the son that's coming over to mom and dad to take care of them. So there's the need to organize meds and decrease the chance of confusion or a patient not taking their meds is huge. You get into patients with cognitive impairments, Maybe there's language barriers. So, there's a lot of reasons that play into that. And I think, the use of a card by a pharmacy to organize those meds helps at least prevent a lot of those issues from happening.
Mm-hmm. So, it's definitely an issue and also a huge opportunity for independent pharmacies out there. So what would you say, how can they play a role in helping with this? And, maybe not necessarily just with packaging, but kind of from the syncing and consultation aspect as well?
Yeah, no, I think those are pretty much the three major components of an adherence program for a pharmacy. Number one is to sync the meds so that they're starting, all on the same date. So, one month you might have to short fill a few prescriptions, to get them all on the same date. But there's great tools out there that are free, like NCPA, Simplify My Med. There's programs out there to help pharmacies and technicians get started. And definitely the first step in doing that is syncing medications up so that the patient gets a common start date for all their medication. The next step to that, and I think is kind of the cherry on top, is the packaging. I don't really think you can have an adherence program if your only step is syncing, my dad's prescriptions, but you still send him home with 7 vials, to organize the meds on his own. Right. So I think a true, adherence program, you're syncing the meds, you have the packaging aspect. So, a multi-dose card and organized by dosage time. And then I think the third and the largest component also is the consultation. I think the pharmacist plays a huge role in the quality of a patient's life. Having time to consultate or, NTMs just reinforces, the role the pharmacist can play, and makes them a care provider versus just being viewed as a dispenser of medications. There's so much more value that the pharmacist can provide in a patient's life. And, number one is just finding the time to talk to them, and coupling that with med organization is really huge for the patient and the healthcare system as a whole.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. These things not only help the patient, but, can definitely help the pharmacy as well. It can change how the public sees them, beyond just put pills in a bottle and send you on your way, but more of a community healthcare expert and, there to really consult you on your prescriptions. Because I think sometimes, there's that misconception out there that people, can't talk to their pharmacists. That's not what they're there for. So they're left kind of wondering about side effects or, how to do. So having that more consultation role be present definitely helps everything as well.
Yeah, I kind of call it, proactive pharmacy versus reactive pharmacy. Mm-hmm. I mean, just simply syncing prescriptions up will streamline, the workflow of any pharmacy. But, when I was in the pharmacy working, Miss Johnson would come in at 6:00 at night, with a Ziploc bag full of all of her vials that, some need to be refilled, some don't. And even though you're trying to close, she's going to wait for them. And as an independent pharmacy, your patient and your customer comes first. So you're going to stay a little bit later and get those prescriptions filled for her. When you look at, syncing and packaging, it's more of a proactive look at pharmacy. So, you're calling Miss Johnson ahead of time. Hey, have you been to the doctor? Has anything with your medications changed? How are you feeling? Things like that. So you're proactively reaching out to that customer, and, you become a care provider for them, and helping them manage their medications. So,
yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Actually, I've never thought of it that way, that trying to be more proactive than reactive. So I know a lot of pharmacy owners out there are doing, syncing and packaging and all that. And I feel like that trend is definitely increasing, but I know there's many out there who, haven't taken the plunge, whether maybe they're just thinking but not packaging, or, maybe not doing anything. From your perspective, what hesitations do you hear about getting started with a packaging program?
Well, independent pharmacies, the pharmacist there wears many hats. They're the face of the pharmacy. They're the, back end HR, payroll. They're it all. But first and foremost, they're there to care for patients. When you talk about syncing prescriptions and using specialty packaging, it sounds like a lot of work, and it's pretty labor intensive to get started. So I think that fear of adding something new is, kind of makes people hesitant, and really wondering if all that extra labor is going to pay off for them. Is the patient really going to be, live a better quality of life? And I think that once you get over the overwhelming, aspects of it, it's a little bit of work on the front end in the terms of identifying your patients that would benefit from the packaging, syncing their meds up, and then, having one of your technicians, place those in specific dosage time for the patient. But I think the work up front will pay off in the end of a more streamlined workflow, and happier, healthier patients. Another part of that is it could be it's too expensive, but as opposed to just, individually putting each prescription in its own packaging. When you look at adherence packaging, you're basically combining all of a patient's meds into one package. So you're looking at higher grossing meds being packaged alongside, say lower grossing meds with less of a margin. So that really helps you keep your packaging costs down by consolidating packaging. And really, I tell people, I'm like, you don't really want to go after my kids' random antibiotic prescriptions. You want to target, my parents and my grandparents, people that are taking, maintenance medications, maybe managing a chronic condition of some sort. Those are the ones that you really target with adherence packaging. Those are your highest grossing patients. And you can start, doing this for free. You can get blister card packaging and, download a free sync program and get started for free and test the water.
Mm-hmm. So they're ready to jump on board. And I guess, what are some of the benefits that they can see once starting a packaging program at their pharmacy?
Well, I think an increased efficiency in your operations. I've heard figures that 10% of your patients create roughly 75% of your store's business, which meaning, the people that are taking the most meds and you're working with the most are really, the largest part of your business. So, using packaging to effectively target those type of patients. And number two is you lock in those patients. If I'm organizing, syncing and organizing your medications, it's going to be hard for you to come to my pharmacy for 5 prescriptions and then go down the street for 3 more because you think, it's a lower price. By consolidating all those prescriptions, you become, the pharmacy becomes the point of care for each patient, and you're ensuring that those patients are getting all their refills. They're coming to you for all of them, and they're taking their meds on time, which is, helping boost your CMS 5-star ratings. The NCPA Digest says, the average patient taking 7 or more meds produces $5,100 in annual revenue. So those are the type of patients you want to go out and find, are the ones taking the most meds. And even, the figure that even farming your own patient base is lucrative as well. I mean, for every 100 patients you get on a sync program, will produce an additional $90,000 in revenue. So that's from your own patient base now. Mm-hmm. And that's based off of, patients filling 7.4 out of 12 meds on each maintenance prescription. So you're not getting all those refills from your patient. And packaging packaging and syncing these meds ensures that your patient, number one, is taking their meds and getting the refills on time. And number two, that you're getting all those refills and you're getting all that business. And, you are coordinating the care for those patients. And we have a customer, a good neighbor pharmacy that, they have patient loyalty scores that they're measured off of. And one of our customers attributes in part to their adherence packaging program. Has boosted him from in the 60 percentile to now he's in the 90th percentile in his loyalty scores. And that's a patient coming into your pharmacy and then ensuring that they're coming back in for their additional refills. So that customer really attributes that to the packaging.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've got everything, they're ready to go. Who would you recommend are the best patients to start offering packaging to? You kind of touched on it earlier about, those that are on the maintenance meds and whatnot, but any other groups to start targeting?
Well, I would say, farm your own database to begin with. Look for those patients that are directly impacting your CMS 5-star rating. Those could be hypertension patients, diabetic patients, cholesterol, or frankly, anybody taking 4 or 5 more meds. I mean, the more meds they're taking, the more they're going to value, the organization of those meds. Also patients with highly profitable prescriptions. Maybe they're taking a specialty or a higher grossing med, and you can combine that with maybe some of the lower grossing prescriptions in one package to kind of even things out. You also can look for patients, look for caregivers, somebody taking care of mom and dad at home, trying to keep mom and dad in their home for, as long as possible, where they're going to live their best life. So those are some of the patients to get started with. And, I think if that takes off, then, you're really testing your business model with your own group of patients. If you see the demand for med organization take off on a small scale, well, you're proving your business model to escalate that and advertise it and go out and seek new business.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you brought up caregiver market, because I feel like that's definitely an underutilized group to target for packaging. So.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, there's lots of studies out there, but staying in your own home is what makes people most comfortable. But a lot of times you find that the reason to take mom or dad out of their home is it could be a med error. It could be that they're not taking their meds or they don't take it on time. It could cause them, it could cause an adverse reaction, and a simple, making sure mom and dad takes their meds on time can be the difference between keeping them at home or having to seek out, maybe an assisted living that, those are very expensive monthly, to provide the care you need. So I think the home health and caregiver market is huge. You hear stories all the time about people that, they might drive, an hour every Saturday to go over to mom and dad and spend 30 to 40 minutes of that, maybe making sure they're taking their meds or organizing those medications, and really letting the pharmacy take responsibility and do that for them. That means more time back to you and your loved one or the person you're taking care of. You can spend time on other things instead of, working on the medication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say are some quick tips to market a packaging program?
My biggest tip is don't call it a blister pack. It's grandma, grandma is going to say, well, I don't want a blister pack. I'm not in a nursing home yet. I'm not that old. I don't need that. But, I think if you approach it as, we're offering a program where we organize your medications for you, would that be beneficial? Would that help you? And, I've got customers that name their packs. I have a Gold Star pharmacy in Texas that calls it a gold pack, Gold Star pack. I've got a customer in Puerto Rico calls it a med pack. Lewis Drug in South Dakota, it's a smart pack. So, taking the time to market this as a value add service to your patients, it resonates. And I think the growth we've seen from, even the few examples of customers I just mentioned, that, their growth has been very solid by offering these programs. But that's one of the biggest tips I've received is don't call it a blister card, call it med organization. You're doing something to help you live a better life, live a higher quality of life. Mm-hmm. And what's good for the patient is good for the pharmacy. Caring is commerce for sure.
Yeah, and I guess I would add to that, something that we found to be effective is make up some samples of your packaging. So use like Skittles or, some sort of little candy that's not going to melt, because I do think it is a visual service. So, have just a sample sitting out on your counter or one to take to health fairs or something like that. So when your pharmacy staff is talking to people about it, they can show them this is how it works, this is how easy it is to use, and kind of walk through that process, because then I think it really helps patients kind of identify and relate to how it would benefit them.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Is even you have to educate your own staff as to why we mm-hmm. want this. Don't let your staff look at, oh, this is another multi-dose patient. When are we going to find the time to do this? I think it's, when your staff buys in and they know the impact of what they're doing, the organization of meds, educating them on how to educate the patient. If everybody buys in, then the patient will feel that, and the patient will feed off that. I've heard other times of pharmacists, during Part D or med reviews, things like that, saying, taking the time to the pharmacist actually delivering the information of, hey, we've got a special program where we take the time to sync and organize your meds. And when it's coming from the pharmacist, which is one of the most trusted professions and roles in the healthcare line, is, the patient will listen to that pharmacist's recommendation, and in most cases will follow through with that. So that's a great point.
Absolutely. Well, I guess to kind of piggyback on that, talking about marketing, packaging programs, GRX Marketing and SynMed have recently formed a partnership to help with that very thing. If you want to talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We understand, how busy, pharmacies are, and pharmacists and their staff. It's a great service to add, but, how do we get started, and how do we market that? Well, SynMed can help you get started in the ways of streamlining your workflow and helping you feel more with less resources. But, the marketing aspect of that, of like, hey, I know I want to do a commercial, or I want to do a press release, or I want to do some social media updates. Sometimes that gets, kind of put to the wayside because, other things take a larger precedence, but that's where GRX really comes in to help our customers, because they will implement this marketing plan to market your Adherence pharmacy, market your packaging, contact physicians, to help stir interest in your program. According to that NCPA Digest, if you track one patient a month taking 7 or more meds, well, you're paying for you're helping pay for your program and your marketing. One patient might not sound like a lot. I've had people advertise and get 200 new patients mm-hmm. In a few months' time. So it's all different, but the key to it is getting a plan and implementing it. And that's what SynMed and GRX partnership, that's what it's there to, is we want to let the pharmacist and the staff get back to taking care of their patients and help us, design and implement a marketing plan for your pharmacy.
Yeah, we're definitely, excited to continue to roll that out in 2019. So to kind of wrap it up, if somebody, has additional questions about packaging, or, kind of just more about what SynMed does, what's a good next step for them to either get a hold of you or check out a website?
Absolutely. Well, 24 hours a day, you can go to SynMedRx. That's SynMedRx.com. And that kind of outlines our company and our products and what we do. Our product, the SynMed XF and the SynMed Ultra, will fill almost any type of blister card on the market right now. So it really allows you to choose the best card for your business and your patients. And, SynMed will help you fill those cards and produce them. You can get a hold of me. Email address is rob.anderson@synmedrx.com, or call me directly, 816-589-4455.
All right, perfect. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today to come on the show and talk about adherence. I think you gave a lot of great information, and hopefully we moved the needle a bit for a few pharmacy owners out there that have maybe been on the fence about starting an adherence or packaging program.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time and letting me speak. The goal here ultimately is to help pharmacists serve their patients better. That's the role, that's what we want to do. And we feel that, adherence program and adherence packaging, coupled with the marketing program, can really help pharmacies serve their patients better, and help everyone live a healthier life.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Pharmacy Marketing Simplified podcast. Be sure to check out our pharmacy marketing experts at pharmacymarketing.com.
You were listening to the Pharmacy Podcast Network's leading marketing podcast, Pharmacy Marketing Simplified, sponsored by the proven leader in pharmacy business development and support, GRX Marketing. For more proven strategies and ideas on marketing your pharmacy business, check out grxmarketing.com.